Hey, everybody, and welcome to this week's episode of our Love Strong podcast, all part of our Fundamentals for Success series. I've got my guest today, Mr. Gregory Torres. He is our accounting wizard, if you will, but more specifically, a financial analyst. Thanks for coming on, Gregory.
Hey, thank you so much. I'm really happy to be here. It's exciting, actually. I was really looking forward to this when you invited me.
I've been looking forward to get you on because, as I'm about to introduce, the fundamental of this week and what we're talking about is maintain a positive attitude. And so when, I'm sitting there trying to plan out who can I bring on that really embodies maintaining a positive attitude. And I started thinking, and what's funny is I actually didn't even come up with your name. I asked some of the HR department, I was like, what do y'all think? And unanimously, they were like, you should get Gregory.
Oh, man.
You should get Gregory. He's always happy. And I was like, yeah, absolutely. And so that's how you ended up on the podcast. Was HR department volunteered me that Gregory would be amazing for maintaining a positive attitude.
Out of all the departments who could think that I maintain positivity, I'm glad it's HR.
Well, this was months ago, so so anything that's happened then, you're still responsible for.
Okay, yeah, that's fair.
But in true reference to what we're going to talk about, right? Maintaining a positive attitude is an effort. We don't do it 100% all the time.
Yep.
Right? Even Mr. Gregory Torres here, the accounting wizard. So today, the purpose of the podcast and what I really want our listeners to get out of it, and I'm hoping that you can provide some guidance and some insight into, is really understanding, why that fundamental is important, how you can really live it and use it to be successful. And then on the tail end of that, how do you find yourself and really, catch yourself when you're not maintaining a positive attitude? Because sometimes I'll be thinking I'm working and doing good, and then I'll look up and be like, ooh, I'm being a little negative today. I'm a little pessimistic about this, whatever it is that's going on. And so without jumping into all that now, I'll bring it back.
Yeah, we'll come back to it.
We'll come back. And so let's start at the top, right?
All right.
I'm going to read the fundamental word for word to not lose any of its purpose or wording. And the fundamental says, maintain a positive attitude. Attitudes are contagious. Make sure that yours is one worth catching. Can't, never could, and negativity never wins. So it's got a couple of segmented statements there.
Yes,
right?
It does. Yes.
Can't, never could, negativity never wins.
There you go. So
when you read that fundamental, when it comes up on our weekly fundamental in all of our meetings, and you hear it, what jumps out at you? What does Gregory Torres think about when they hear that fundamental?
Maintain a positive attitude. Well, it's interesting. Okay, this one specifically, right? It says it right there in the title, right? Attitude. Attitude is the biggest part of it, okay? And actually somebody who I've read biographies on, I've studied about in history and things like that, Robert Kennedy, okay?
Okay.
And he said something really important that I've always loved. And I've actually shared it once before in a meeting. And it actually says, some men see things as they are and say or ask why. I dream things that never were and say, why not? Right?
Yeah.
And it's all about the attitude, right? It truly is all about the attitude. Some people will see the situation as it's always a problem. It's always a struggle. It's never going to get any better. They can only see what's in front of their face, right? And there's other individuals who can see the situation for what it is, look beyond it and say, why not? Why can't I get to that other side? Why can't I achieve this, right? And so I always relate to that right away, right away. And so when I start thinking about maintaining a positive attitude, it's really about how you react to situations. It's about how you can overcome tribulations, right?
Yeah.
Because a workplace is not perfect, and life in general is not perfect, right? But it's about how you can persevere those tribulations, those struggles. And that perseverance really drives your character as an individual, which then kind of drives you into your win-win situations, right?
Another fundamental.
Another fundamental, yeah. So, when you start developing your character through overcoming these struggles and these troubles and things like that, it helps you with your attitude and it makes you more positive all the way around, right?
So I think you start a direction and a key point that I wanted to really get out is you talked about all the things that you do that feed into your attitude. Mm-hmm. You're not putting your effort into just saying have a positive attitude, right? try harder, work harder. You're focusing on the inputs that cater your attitude.
Yeah,
right? And
exactly.
I think that's, for me, a lot of times when you think about, I think of the situations or the times where I do end up getting a negative attitude, whether it's at work or at home, or, a lot of times it's things that have, where you've lost the faith, if you will, another attitude, another fundamental, where you don't have faith that you can get the change, or, like in your quote, where you look at things of how you want them to be and you say, why not? People lose the faith that they can get to that status, that they can turn their work life into what they want it to be, or that they can, fix their home life to where they want it to be, or, usually involves around people, right?
Yep.
People are tough to change, but how do you like, in that effort to maintain and put it on the inputs, how do you step back and start controlling what you can control?
Well, it's interesting, right? It's all in the approach, okay? Like, for example, if the crab family, right? I'll just speak like in general. If the crab family, okay?
They're going to listen.
I know. I hope they do. I hope they listen.
Me too. I do.
But if the crab family would have just said, after every single roadblock, after every single obstacle, every problem, every struggle, like, nah, this is too hard. Like, I can't do it.
Sure.
I can't do it. There'd be no trailer company. There'd be no Diamond C. We wouldn't be working here, right?
34 years ago, it would have closed down.
That's right. So what that tells me is when you and me show up to work and we're faced with problems, 9 times out of 10, guaranteed, no matter what, somebody else has probably faced that exact same similar problem.
Probably.
Okay?
Yeah.
And the industry hasn't necessarily changed. Maybe the way we design the trailers have changed, right? But how we're running our company and what we're trying to achieve is ultimately still the same, just at a larger scale and through growth, right?
Sure.
And so when I see problems or struggles, I always think to myself, when I need to address them, as obviously using another fundamental, right? Speaking straight.
Sure.
Okay. And practicing blameless
problem solving.
That's right.
Absolutely.
And when you address those things, you don't go and just be negative. And sometimes there's nothing wrong with venting, all right? Or bringing a negative comment, but you have to do it with the right intention.
That's the skill of speak straight, right?
Yeah, it really is.
There's nothing wrong with telling the truth, expressing your feelings, your perception, but it needs to be packaged with the other fundamentals, with the maintaining a positive attitude,
right.
assuming positive intent, checking your ego at the door, right?
Yes.
And when we get to the speaking straight, I'm sure that'll come out. But
exactly. So when you get faced with problems or you get faced with any type of negativity, the focus shouldn't be the negativity or the problem. And not that you can't vent about it or say something like negative, but then your main focus should be, how do I come up with my solution? How do I solve that problem so I can keep going? Not getting stuck at it, right?
Right.
I mean, when you grow a business, when you come into work, when you have your job job in your company isn't designed to put up a brick wall to stop you. No, it's designed with obstacles so you can hurdle them. Okay, so you can jump over them and learn from it and continue on.
It's part of the growth path, right?
It really is. And so when you have that attitude or that mentality of, it's just a problem, other people have faced it, and I can address it with a solution, then it helps you move beyond the negativity or the can't, right?
Right.
Of being able to achieve what you need to. And that's what keeps me positive, like me personally. It's just like, because I enjoy what I do. And I'm sure that whatever I'm faced with, I can overcome. And so it keeps me positive at all times. I just stay positive.
I mean, that's great though. Like in I think you make a key attribution to how you're able to maintain, right? Because for me, I think from my perception, the maintenance of your positive attitude is the difficult part, right? Like everybody will find moments of positivity. When things go your way, positivity just comes naturally, right? Like, oh, I won the lottery.
Yeah.
Not negative today, right? Or, I got a promotion, or, hey, everything the project I was working on was a success, or, positivity comes naturally when things go well. But
yes.
How do you maintain that through the peaks and valleys, through, the highs and lows of your work? And as you said, you realize that any obstacle that you face is an opportunity to grow.
Yes.
Is an opportunity to provide value, and in the spirit of, not being, oh, poor pitiful me, you said that most problems are not unique to you. someone's had the same problem or a similar problem, or multiple people are facing the same obstacle that you're facing, right? Especially if it's inside the company, more than likely you're working as a team or the entire company to overcome the obstacle.
Yeah.
Because if accounting's running into an obstacle and they're unable to get their win in a win-win scenario, well, then what happens to the rest of the company? If we're not getting, the financial data and, in your role, analyzing that and providing us with, accurate information and to make better decisions and drive the company forward, then where are we going? Where are we going to go? We're driving blind. And so, I think about when you take a step back in that effort to keep the faith and say, I'm probably not facing this problem alone, or if I feel like I am facing it, there are other people that are doing that currently or have done it before. And when you make that acknowledgement, all of a sudden you don't feel as much of a victim.
And you're not alone. You're not alone in it, right? And I think that's another part of it where there's there's a fear of the unknown sometimes, right? And just talking about kind of day-to-day work, for me, if I don't know something, I just ask. I just have to ask the question.
That's another fundamental.
You just
ask to be sure.
But I'm serious.
Listen well. Seek thorough understanding.
You've seen me, right? I'll be at engineering. I'll be at bombs. I'll be in IT. I'll be out in production, sales, marketing, wherever I need to be, so I can ask the question. And that's a big part of it, is just being humble about it and just saying you know what, I'm faced with a problem. And like I said earlier, 9 times out of 10, somebody else has faced it. And if you took all of the years of experience, manufacturing, production, trailer building, accounting, marketing, sales, all that stuff, hundreds of years of experience, somebody can most likely give you the right answer and help support you. So then you can just be like, you know what? That wasn't as big of a deal as I thought.
There you go. You keep the faith, but you also keep the faith that the answer is out there.
Yes.
That it's not an insurmountable problem.
That's right.
And, that's one thing that we teach in our leadership development, is that every problem has a solution. And if a problem doesn't have a solution, it's a fact of life, and you need to quit worrying about it, right? I wish that I was 6'6" so I could, play in the NBA, but God put me at 5'9". It's a fact of life, right? And I am 5'9". Don't question that. Okay, 5'9", never gonna be 6'6". Is that a problem, or is it a fact of life?
Fact of life.
Fact of life.
Yeah, there it is.
But how many people are negative about facts of life? How many facts of life do people just carry around with them every day and allow them to bring that attitude down? And they're not problems, because they're immovable. You can't change them. You can't correct and, change facts of life, like with the supply chain issues that the industry's facing. Those are out of our control. It's become a new fact of life. So we can either be negative and mope and cry about it, or we can work hard to find the solution and maintain that positive attitude, that belief that a solution is out there.
Yeah, exactly.
And
we've talked about it. We've brought it up in a couple of meetings, right? Of just hypothetical conversations and saying what fundamentals of success should our high executive leadership staff have? What are the key ones that they need to have? In reality, they really need to maintain a positive attitude and keep the faith above anything else.
All day, right?
All day long.
Because when we lose it, we're looking at their face and we're saying, are they stressing about this? And if they're not stressed, then we're like,
exactly.
Okay, well, we're gonna be all right. It's gonna be good.
So I know that I sit behind Jeff Weaver, right? Our CFO, COO. Okay, and I feel like he's always locked in, focused, eyes forward all the time.
Yeah.
If I turn around, I couldn't tell you if he's stressed, happy, sad, whatever. All I know is if I need something, I go to him, he gives me an answer, he helps me out, right?
Yeah.
And so it's that reliability that we that we depend on, right? And so
absolutely.
I know he keeps the faith, maintains the positive attitude. It's contagious. It gets passed down to then me. Hopefully I pass it down onto my team through my actions of I'm keeping the faith, I have a positive attitude, and it just becomes infectious, right? That's
absolutely.
The point.
You just hit another part of the fundamental that it's so I don't mess it up. Attitudes are contagious. As simple as that. And you generate a great example when your leader, Jeff Weaver, our COO, is calm, positive, keeping the faith. Then that makes it more likely easier for you to get back in line. If you're frustrated or struggling, then all of a sudden now you, even as, in a lead role of the accounting department, can now keep the faith and maintain a positive attitude. Because if the flip was true, right, and you get stressed and you look behind you and Jeff Weaver has got, hair all out, his hands in his hair, and he looks like he's lost control, it's going to send the company into a spiral.
I'm going to tell him to go home. I'm like, oh, hey, Jeff, people can see you. This is a glass door. You should.
You're not keeping the faith, but I haven't seen that happen yet. I'm sure there are days where he's been on, been more purposeful than others, business, but that's a great example, right? And we're picking on Jeff. I hope you listen, Jeff. But that concept of leadership and why these are true fundamentals for success live out in that scenario, right? Because when you're in a leadership role, even if you're not truly their leader, but you're a part of a team, and you're negative, or your attitude falls, and you're not keeping the faith, or you're not, living by any of these fundamentals, then it becomes contagious, whether you want to or not. Whether it's like a personal problem, then how many times do we, does that happen with our work where we're fine with our professional life, but then our personal life, we're bringing problems from home in here, our attitude's down, we're not positive, and it doesn't. But then that permeates. It spreads through our department. Yeah. Obviously, if you're in a leadership role, it's even more, because then your staff becomes insecure. They're trying to get creative and figure out and put pieces together to figure out why you've varied from your normal daily attitude and your normal personality, and so then all of a sudden they're trying to figure out, put pieces together, and worried about what it is. Did they do something wrong? It just creates havoc, It does, yeah. And and I'm guilty of that too, is like, especially when you're in a new role, or, in a new place, or you haven't built those relationships. And man, this could just go so deep on, we could go a whole nother realm of why trust is so important, right? Because as those peaks and valleys happen, if you got the trust behind, and I trust, Gregory, or you trust Jeff, then if Jeff's having a bad day, that you're going to be resilient to that affecting your attitude, or your day, or your fundamentals. And so that's a whole nother conversation.
Yeah, it is.
But that's something we teach in leadership development, of, trust is the foundation of a company, of a relationship, of anything. Like, no trust, you're going to have nothing. You pick up any type of book, any type of leadership development, any type of relationship building guide, trust. First chapter, trust. Yeah. So, yeah. Let's move forward into kind of the next sector, right? So we talked about really how to focus on maintaining a positive attitude. And to kind of recap that section for just a second, the maintenance of the attitude is, don't focus on the attitude. Don't focus on what you feel like in the moment. Focus on what's feeding that attitude, and really analyze, why is it that I'm negative? Am I negative because I'm not taking accountability for my actions, right? It happens to me sometimes where I don't like what I'm getting in life. Well, that's because you're not putting anything out, right? Oh, I don't like what the scale says. Well, that's because you are eating cookies and cake and not working, not exercise. It's like your inputs, and you got to own that part, but then also like keep the faith that you can find a solution.
That's right.
And that you're not alone in your problems. If you want to get into religious aspect of, keeping faith that you're protected, and that you're being guided, and that you're walking in God's will. And if you believe in that, live and let God, then all of a sudden the positivity can come back, because you have that faith, you have that trust,
and sometimes we even set ourselves up to fail. Okay. Like, and that's a big part of like the maintaining the positive attitude. Sometimes we set unrealistic goals. Sometimes we don't have a clear purpose, or a clear direction, or a clear focus. And if you don't have that in place, you tend to scramble around what your job is. You scramble around what your responsibilities and duties are, and you never feel like you've accomplished something, because you've never actually aligned yourself on a path of saying, what is it I'm supposed to be doing, so then I can achieve it. Yeah. And if you don't have like that clear focus, then you can get very disgruntled and irritated, like super, super fast. But it's interesting when people win small victories, right? like for someone who's never ran, a 5K, someone who's never ran a mile or anything like that, or you haven't?
I did for the first time.
Oh, well, let's see,
Yeah.
So then how did you feel when you finished?
Oh, I mean, like, just funny because this is a great example of my attitude. And so I was, nervous ahead of time, never ran a 5K in my life. I know I don't look it, but so we went and did the Spartan Race.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
So, if it's 5K with 20 obstacles mixed in, where you're doing burpees and up bleachers and carrying 70-pound sandbags and 50-pound water. I don't know what they are. They're like bags of water, but they're like leather. I don't know. They have handles on them. Anyways, you're carrying those up inclines, and then you're doing weighted burpees and rope climbs and rings, and I mean, just all sorts of crazy stuff. I mean, so you got a 5K that you're running, and then all that in the middle. So did that. We went as a big group here, right? 16 of us. I finished last out of our 16, right? But hey, that was the first race I've ever done in my life.
No, it's great. Interesting choice, but yes.
But I'm saying right? Yeah, if I go big or go home. But so like in the day, my attitude was kind of negative. I was like, man, I've really got to get training up. I was like, my goal heading in was not to finish last out of our group. Like that was my goal. I didn't hit it. I didn't hit it. But then I got the results back for the entire group, like everyone that competed, and I was like in the top 40%.
Oh, see, that's good.
Yeah, I mean, it was like I was like 1727 out of like 3600. So I was over half. I mean, over half of the competitors. And so all of a sudden, my attitude changed when I got more perspective. And this is where I wanted to go. Is what you were talking about. Is there's another fundamental: seek through understanding. And how many times is it that our attitude can take massive shifts? Like when you think about Franklin Covey, he talks about paradigm shifts, right? When we get more information, when we seek through understanding, how many times do we get our relationships at home, we're frustrated with our wife or our kids aren't acting right, and then we find out that they're dealing with something, or, we get more information, and all of a sudden, boom, our attitude totally changes.
It's a perspective, right?
Yeah.
It's your perspective is completely changed.
Yeah.
And so like, for your example with like your race, maybe the achievable, more experienced like goal setting, or like, because then now you've done it, the next time would be, I just want to finish. Maybe not. I don't want to be last. I don't want to be last. Or like, maybe it's like, I just want to do better than I did last time.
Absolutely.
And so the attitude with it, right? Maintaining positivity comes up with it, realistic, focused, purposeful, like goal intentions and goal setting and stuff like that. And so that always helps me, right?
Right.
And competition and achiever are some of my two strongest like strengths,
Competition's your one, right?
Competition is my number one.
That's intense.
Yeah. And so I always like want to win, but I have to realize that like, hey, they always say somebody out there is bigger, better, faster, stronger, or whatever the case may be, right? And if you can kind of come to the realization of, I'm doing it for myself, I'm doing it because I want to do it, and it makes me feel good, and I enjoy it, it makes your experience so much better. And that's what helps me here. I love what I do. I like being in the numbers. I like talking with people, the interaction, and that keeps me positive because it's what I want to do. Yeah.
And on that, one of the great things about Diamond C, and this is going to be a little insert recruiting pitch here, but it's so much fun because we're in such a entrepreneurial stage in the growth, and just things are changing and needs are changing every day. That is as frustrating as that can be sometimes. You get these honest moments where you really feel like you can make a difference in the future of the company. Like you get these high leverage moments where the company is relying on you for the financial data so they can make major decisions, because we're growing so rapidly and we're moving so fast that we have to make decisions quickly. And sometimes the data that you can provide or the insight that you can do can make huge plays, whether it's in not to get too detailed, but like, some of the pricing things and like keeping us honest with, material and price increases and things like that, of course, is not unique to our business, but more the whole industry. But it's so fun. And those days when you actually take a step back and you get out of the mess for a second and you get out of the race of the day, and you're like, man, I was like, you look back and you're like, well, that made a big difference. You're not just in accounting, pushing numbers and like a larger corporation where you don't really ever get to see the incremental difference that you make. And here it's like, and everybody gets to play such a big role, and everybody's so crucial in moving the company forward because we're all hands on deck, growing at the pace we're at. And so if you want to come somewhere where you get an opportunity to really see a difference that you make in the company, we need you.
Come to Diamond C.
Yeah,
right?
come to Diamond C. We need you. Hey, but you got to maintain a positive attitude.
That's right, yeah.
Off track a little bit, but, that to me, I think that's what keeps me some days of maintaining a positive attitude is when I get overwhelmed, or I get frustrated, I can go back and I get that opportunity to really see the results that I've made. When you talk about the goal setting, but, getting that perspective back and really being honest with yourself to look back, kind of like with the race, to take a step back and be like, I didn't feel great about that in the moment. I didn't hit my goal. But then when I look back, hey, that's something to be proud of. That's good.
Pretty good, yeah.
Like, you can see the difference you made, whether it's in your work or your home life. Maintaining a positive attitude requires thorough understanding of the full perspective.
Yeah, it really does. Really does.
So let's get one more point out. I know we're both talkers here. He's got communication. I'm a woo. I say that too often. I think I just like being a woo. I feel like every episode. If you don't know, if you haven't watched, woo's in my top 5.
There it is.
And I think woos just want to talk about them being woos. That's what we do.
Yeah, see?
So let's throw the fundamental back up there. And it says, attitudes are contagious. Make sure yours is one worth catching. Can't never could. Negativity never wins.
Right on.
One thing that I really want to get out, and I always try and give our listeners, is this kind of two-tone idea of how do you catch yourself when you're not maintaining a positive attitude? Because sometimes in our best efforts to say, I'm going to live all these fundamentals, we're going to falter, we're going to stray, right? And sometimes we don't realize that we did, right? It happens to me all the time. I'm typically a positive person, but then all of a sudden I'll look up and be like, man, I've been negative today, right? Like,
yeah, it happens.
It happens to the best of us. And so how do you catch yourself? What are some identifiers that say that you're not maintaining a positive attitude? And then the next question, how do you get yourself back?
Yeah, right on. Well, all right. So it goes back into the whole thing of like, we're talking about attitude, right? Mm-hmm. And so you have to know yourself. And you know when you're feeling down, you're feeling sad, you're faced with a problem, or things just aren't going well, okay? But a real kind of key, like a red flag, like an identifier is, I'm working day after day after day, or over a week, and I feel like I haven't accomplished anything. I don't feel that I've gained anything out of my job. I feel that I'm not aligned with my goals. And you look back and you're like, what did I actually accomplish? What did I do? And you can't even remember. And I feel like that is such like a true identifier of saying, well, I'm not maintaining a positive attitude because I'm not actually accomplishing it. I'm not like achieving. I'm not aligned with my goals. Yeah. And sometimes being successful really helps promote, right, the attitude.
Absolutely.
And so when you're not aligned, when you're not achieving, when you're not getting that done, it should be an identifier to you of being like, I can't remember what I've accomplished recently. I can't remember the job responsibility that I was supposed to be doing. And that should just cue you right away. That's a red flag. I'm not getting it done.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, one thing that popped out to me when you said that was this idea of having a purpose to your work, and of course we have the mark the boxes off, feel good that I accomplished A, B, C, D today, checked all my boxes, did great. But if that's just, not purpose-filled work, right? If it's not something that fuels you, and you think about our purpose as a company to promote the growth and success, to fuel the growth and success of our team members, customers, and community. Like if you don't have that purpose, right? Even if you are checking the boxes, it might be hollow.
That's right.
And so, taking a second and looking back and thinking, is my work and the things I'm doing in life really fueling my purpose? Because you can be doing all the right things, but if it doesn't fuel your soul, your spirit, who you are, then you're never going to be able to maintain that positive attitude.
That's right. Yeah. That's right. Because like something I said earlier, right, when I was talking about tribulations, right, and then you have to persevere over those, which helps build your character. And if you feel like you've gone a while or a long time and your character as who you are has kind of been affected, then it probably means you're not maintaining that positive attitude, right? You're not staying aligned with your purpose. You're deviating from your path. And so it's what we have to be aware of.
That's great.
Yeah, you have to catch yourself.
That's great. So, second question, you caught it. Man, I'm being negative. Don't like who I am today. Don't like who I've become. Ooh. How do you get it back?
Well, okay, I'm gonna tell you. All right.
Tell him the secret, man.
Listen,
tell me the secret.
The secret sauce or whatever it is.
Sauce,
Yeah. I do. I mean, don't get me wrong. I feel that I can be negative. I can complain just like anybody can, right?
Yeah.
But I think that the majority of people around here, and I was like, describe me when you see me, they'd be like smiling, good mood, positive attitude, right?
Yeah.
And for me, it's really simple because I've chosen to buy into the culture and I believe in it, agree with it. And so I know then that there are other people who have been hired who also have bought into it because that's how we should be hiring, right?
Yeah.
So they must be maintaining a positive attitude as well.
At least working to, right?
Yeah, they have to be. So there's got to be multiple people here who are living by those fundamentals of success.
Yeah.
So like for a quick example, like throw a name out there. Like for me, if I need a quick pick me up, sometimes you just need to get away, have a conversation, find those people who have that contagious attitude.
Yeah.
I really like going to Alex Vasquez. Okay. That guy.
Oh, I love Alex.
Yeah. Alex is great. Yeah. So he has such a great attitude. He's a really humble guy. He's down to earth, easy to talk to. And like warranty and accounting, it's not like we cross paths a lot. So it's not like I have like a reason to go over there other than he's a great guy.
Yeah.
And so like if you need like somebody kind of keep you going, sometimes it just takes having a conversation with somebody else to make you feel like I'm not alone. I have a support system.
Absolutely.
Other people are also struggling, but like there are people who are maintaining the positive attitude that can get you back to feeling good.
I think you make you draw a linear connection there between why one of our other fundamentals, practicing human connection, is crucial to maintaining a positive attitude.
Yes.
Because if you don't have those relationships, if you and Alex didn't have that relationship to where you could go and get fueled and get that positivity back, right? Because the only reason that he's influencing you is because you're allowing him to, because you've built that relationship and that trust to let him influence you and you influence him. And so when you need him and you have those relationships you can rely on, now you can go to Alex and say, man, having a negative, and then he can adjust your perspective, or he can pick you up and,
Exactly.
And, like the fundamental says, attitudes are contagious.
They are. They're really contagious. Yeah.
All of it, positive and negative. That's the dangerous part, is you're either positively affecting or negatively affecting the people around you.
And just like you said at the beginning of the podcast, right? It wasn't like you selected my name out of the hat, right? Like HR kind of said, oh, choose Gregory. He's the guy with the positive attitude.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing, right? I go to our HR department because it kind of is their job, right? But they are.
Their role.
It's a role. Yeah. They have to maintain, right, that composure to keep the company.
Yeah, be the foundation. To
be the face, And I go over there and I always enjoy having conversations with them, right?
Yeah.
There's a positive like connection there and a positive attitude. And so that's another great like outlet. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And something you tried to hit on earlier was like, positive and negative is good and bad. Like, just because you have a negative attitude doesn't mean like it's a one-way street where you need to go seek people out. If you have a positive attitude and you see someone who may not be doing good,
absolutely,
go and talk to them.
Yeah.
Get them back on track.
Yeah.
Help them out.
And how many times do people do that around here? Like how many times I think people have done it to me. I do it to other people. You walk by, you notice a difference. You notice the negativity or maybe not negativity is a strong word, but just them being down.
That's right. Yeah.
And so many times you just see around the office that if someone's having a rough day, they're stressed, they're putting in a lot of hours, or they're having personal stuff. Man, people are just all the time stopping in, checking on them. Picking them up, practicing that human connection and just trying to help them maintain a positive attitude.
That's right.
Because I mean, when you have stuff going on in your life and personal things, whether it's family sick or just big issues that are are much bigger than Diamond C. Sometimes that the whole difference in the day can just be that moment.
That's right.
Of going and sharing the care and the positivity and practice that human connection, and letting them catch a little bit contagious.
That's right.
That contagious positive attitude.
Oh, definitely, 100%.
So if you take anything from the podcast, I think there's two really crucial points of when you're losing the faith, you don't feel like you're making progress, or it's not filling your tank. Right? I think it sounded a little accent there. Filling your tank. You may need to reanalyze what you're doing, where you're going, and how you're and the tasks that you're doing. Because if you're feeling negative and you're feeling empty and you're feeling pointless, take that accountability to say, what am I doing? What actions can I change for myself to start doing things that make me feel successful, kind of like what you said, but then also be successful in areas and ways that fuel me. That's and right. that provide me with, the kind of that purpose in life. And we all have different guides and we all have different purposes and things that we enjoy and that give us energy. You know, for you in the accounting department, if we switch roles, I would drown in all the numbers. Drown. This company would go under in a week, okay? But for you, that fuels you. You enjoy it. You find the value in it, and you crave it, right?
Yeah.
But then on the flip side, you know, if you put the wrong person in the wrong seat, or if you're in the wrong seat, and you find yourself not maintaining positive, reanalyze your position. What are you doing?
Yeah. And maybe it's as simple as like you just don't have clarity, right?
Yeah.
And maybe you just need a little bit of communication, maybe from your boss or somebody else about like, hey,
speak straight.
Like, what's the goal here? Like, what do you need me to do? What am I supposed to be doing?
Yeah.
Maybe you don't have clarity.
Yeah.
You know, you just need something to just help you realign, get focused, set your goals in place, and make sure that you're doing it with purpose.
And then on the backside, if you need to get it back, I realize I'm negative. Go talk to somebody. Speak straight. If you're having an issue with a coworker, speak straight. That doesn't mean to be ugly. That doesn't mean to do anything, out of the fundamentals or outside that lies outside the fundamentals for success. But tell them, get that clarity, get that opportunity to remove the negative barrier, and view it as an opportunity to move on and to get positive and catch that contagious from someone else.
That's right. Get that pick me up.
Yeah. Build those relationships, build that trust, so that you, when you falter, you can go back to those human connections that you've been practicing. You can go back to the faith that you've built in your direction and your purpose. That's right. Those are the foundations that allow you to maintain.
That's right. That's right.
And to stay positive through the tough times. So, man, Gregory, that was a great podcast.
Thanks for having me, actually.
I think they're all great, but this one was extra.
Hey, I had a good time.
Yeah.
I had a good time.
I really enjoyed the content. I hope y'all did too. Thank y'all for listening in. Thanks for coming on. We'll be back next week. We're talking about call the meeting, something that kind of goes along with speak straight. So we're going to have a member of the HR department come on and talk about calling the meeting. And so until then, I hope you join us next week. Learn and work to maintain a positive attitude, take an opportunity to relook and think about the things that are being negative in your life and what's really the root cause of those.
That's right.
But while you're doing that, don't forget to do work and love strong. Thank y'all.
Thank you.